Hi, I'm Katie and I'm 30 years old and I suffer with anorexia and bulimia. The 1st to the 7th of March is Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and for me I'm really passionate about raising awareness and making people aware of all the different types of eating disorders and how we can help people or reach out for help if you feel like that you're suffering yourself. Stereotypes of eating disorders are that it's young females that get them, but actually eating disorders don't stereotype at all. They can affect all ages, all genders, all ethnicities. Sadly, I've been inpatient in hospital 6 times in the last 6 years. On my journey, I've met people as young as 14 that have been suffering with the illness, and people as old as 70s that are still suffering after years and years of the battle. So don't just think that it begins in high school age people and ends. It's not just a fad. For me, my eating disorder started when I was around 14, 15 years old, and I was really trying to get on top of my GCSE work. I was stressed and wanted to revise all the time, which meant that I was cutting out meal times. But also, I decided that I wanted to diet for the prom and start losing a little bit of weight, cutting out junk food and things like that. But it very quickly became an obsession, and I had rules about when I could eat, where I could eat, what I could eat, how I could get away with not eating. It quickly became a problem. Because I was at school for most of the day, I managed to hide it quite a lot from my family. But my friends started to notice there was something wrong, and they did reach out for help, and some of the teachers spoke to me. It's really important that if you think that somebody is suffering, or you think that yourself is suffering, that you reach for help. I know that at your school you've got a SHARP team, or the SHARP system, and the WE team that you can get in touch with if you're feeling like you're struggling or you're worried about somebody else. Please, please, please get in touch with those ways of dealing with things if you can, because the longer that things go unnoticed and hidden, the harder it is to beat the eating disorder. So a little bit about anorexia. Anorexia is a serious mental illness, and it's the biggest mental illness killer in the world. It limits the amount of food and drink that people eat, and usually people with anorexia are a low weight. But this is not always the case. You can be suffering with anorexia and bulimia and be a normal weight and still be just as mentally unwell. People with anorexia develop rules around what they can and can't eat, as well as things like when and where they'll eat. And as I said before, it can affect any age, gender and ethnicity. It can affect literally anybody. As well as limiting the amount of food or drink that they eat, there are other symptoms to look out for. This could be wearing baggy clothes, exercising all of the time, being very jittery and tapping your foot is a classic sign of somebody with an eating disorder. Making themselves sick, going to the bathroom lots after evening meals and during the day, during meal times, avoiding being around people, misuse of laxatives or diuretics as a way of getting rid of the food afterwards. Also, binging is an issue. For somebody that's starving themselves for such a long time, they may then eat a lot of food all in one go because they're craving it, and then they might purge that and get rid of it by being sick, or do lots of exercise afterwards to make themselves feel better. Weight and shape play a massive part in someone's self-worth with anorexia. Often people with anorexia don't see themselves the way that others see them, and they see where they need to lose weight and just a bigger person in front of them when they look in the mirror. I know for a long time I've had a distorted vision of myself, and I've constantly felt the need to lose weight. Even when I've got to my lowest weights and I've been too unwell to even move out of bed, I've still felt like I need to lose more weight. So as I said, my eating disorder started when I was 14, and I'm now 30 years old, turning 31 this year. So that's over half of my life that I've suffered. I've been in hospital 6 times, and sadly you don't get a choice of where you're going. I've been quite lucky that I've spent the majority of my admissions in the local area and around half an hour away from my home. But the furthest I was away from home was 2.5 hours, which was really difficult for family to visit. Being inpatient in hospital is really difficult. You're not allowed certain things. You have to do a supervision after every meal, which means you have to sit in a room and sit there for an hour until the food is digested, so that you can't use behaviours afterwards. It's a really stressful environment, and you're struggling, and you're surrounded by other people that are struggling, and that can be quite triggering. Last year I got to the point where I just couldn't eat at all, and I was so scared of food that they had to insert a tube in my nose that went into my throat and down into my stomach, and they fed me through a feeding tube against my will. I was sectioned, which means that I wasn't allowed to leave hospital. I couldn't argue with the treatment. The treatment that they gave me was to save my life. This year has been a really difficult year. With lockdown, obviously the support and being able to see people has been a lot more difficult. My community team is a nurse and a psychiatric doctor that I see once a week, if that, and there's only so much help that they could give me. So I started to relapse quite badly with stress and with worry about lockdown and not being able to do all my usual things. I started to cut my diet again, and I started to eat meals but then make myself sick afterwards. Some of the repercussions of bulimia and making yourself sick is that you get an electrolyte imbalance. That's where all the things in your body that help make your heart work and your muscles work slow down and stop working as efficiently. In November 2020, I actually suffered with a mild heart attack. I'm 30 years old, so to be told that you've had a heart attack was really scary, and it's made me realise that this is my last admission. I need to fight as much as I can this time. I can't keep doing this to myself. My body's not going to cope. And I think it's really important for you guys to know just what can happen. I have had friends that have died from the illness. I've had friends that have had serious heart problems, people that have had strokes, people that have lost teeth. Sadly, I've lost teeth through making myself sick. It's not a glamorous thing at all. It's not just about being thin. It's an illness, and it's cruel, and it robs you of your every waking moment. It's really difficult to talk to people about, and there's a real taboo about eating disorders still today. I find that there's a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment around them, but I don't want you to feel that way. I think if you are yourself worrying about your weight or the way that you look, or you're starting to stress about food or cutting things out, then please go and talk to somebody. It's something that you shouldn't be going through alone. Again, if you're worried about one of your friends or a family member, then please go and reach out to somebody, go and talk to them and let them know that they're not alone. The worst thing is being alone with your voices in your head and your head telling you that you're not good enough and that you have no self-worth. And yeah, just please reach out for help. For Eating Disorder Awareness Week, I hope that you've been able to share your views and your thoughts on eating disorders, and I hope that me just talking to you has highlighted that it's not glamorous and it's not fun. as I said, you've got systems in school, the WE team and the SHARP system, that you can turn to if you really, really need it. And also, I'm available if there's any questions that you want to ask me. Please get in touch with your teachers and I will answer as many questions as I can in another video later on. Thank you for listening. I hope that what I've said has helped. Don't suffer in silence. Get help now while you still can. Don't let it go on for as long as it's been for me. See you later. Bye.